Good morning, YPC. Welcome to week 7 wrap up. Just making some quick notes, real quick off the top. Jimmy and I have a +2 differential on points forced for the season. Jimmy put up some nice points this week with the high score of the week, which is 176.3. Nice job, Jim. Also to note, the least scoring people or the teams that have the least points forced is Rude with 752 and Theo Ben with 875.7. Uncle Benj has a differential of 123.7. So Uncle Benj, if you don't want to pay the $50, just get a win. All you need to do is get a win. And unfortunately, you've been stringing them together, but you put up some nice points this week, and I thought you were going to get the win for a second there. So nice outing. But just want to touch on those two things real quickly as far as who our points force leaders are. And there's some other guys that are in the thousands right now. So, I mean, anybody in the thousands is going to have a good chance at winning some money, and even in the high nines. So, Busta is in the thousands, and so is Ruben. So, I mean, you guys have a good chance. Even Theo Ruben has a pretty good chance, high nines. So, anyways, we're going to start with our week one. Our high score of the week, which is going to be Jimmy. Jimmy, let's see here. His top scorer was AJ Green with 39.5, and then Rude's high scorer was Tannehill with 22.2. So the score was 176.3 to 91.6. Looking at stuff here, Jimmy AJ Green just went crazy, and you have some 30. I mean, Rogers, Green or Gore. Your team looks pretty solid, and going down the stretch here, the only thing I see is a flex position. But when you're putting up huge numbers like that, shit, who really cares? You know what I mean? With Rude, man, I'm looking at your roster, and you just have cancer on it. Reggie Wayne went down. He's done for the season. That's a huge blow because that guy was scoring. I mean, he's averaging points, at least 10 points every time he goes on the field, and sometimes he's had in the 20s. So, and then Bradford is done. Oh, and Daniels is out. You got Floyd on reserve, but that's not a big deal. So, I mean, and then your backs, it's the same story, man. So, which moves you to 2-5, 3-game losing streak, and then Jimmy, you're at 4-3 with a 2-game winning streak. So, congrats on that. Sorry about Reggie Wayne, man. That was kind of a. It goes to show that the quarterback needs to actually throw the route because he had to stop to come back, and when he stopped and pivoted, that's when I think he blew his knee. At least on the replay, that's what it looked like. So, for all you aspiring quarterbacks out there, hit him in the chest, in stride. Don't let him, have to switch stuff up. So, too bad because that might be a career-ending injury for that boy. Who knows? He's not a spring chicken. Next game we're going to do is going to be Sheepy, the Junkyard Sheep, and Denny. Sheep had Forte with 39.9. I think he had 3 touchdowns on the day. And he had Dalton on the bench, who had the highest score of the week. So that's kind of shitty. But those two guys would have gave you half your points that you have right now. So Sheepy got the win with 126.4, and Denny 102.2. Lacey was Denny's high scorer with 21.8. The big score here was Forte. And then the other question, I mean, it's your managerial, but I don't know when you're going to – I mean, you must love Manning. I don't know. You got to think for that boy because every time I look, you're starting that fool. And he scored 25 points. His highest was when he started off, and then since then, he hasn't really done, 16, 12. So, Dalton isn't a barn burner either, but, the last 2 games he's done pretty decent. Overall, though, it looks like he's putting up more points than Manning, but that's why you manage your team and why I manage my team. But you got the win. That's all that matters, Sheep. 3-4 with a 1-game win streak, and then Denny 3-4 with a losing streak of 1. Not too big of a deal. Next game is going to be me and B, which is the closest game of the week. The close game, B. And the sucky thing here is that and I know that took loss. So if you would have beat me, it would have made it closer for you in that division. But it is what it is. Nick Foles Dallas is getting lit up on defense, and I think that was like 3-0 at the half in that game. And Doug Martin goes out, torn labrum. I mean, that sucks. So he hasn't really done much this season, anyways. But I'm just glad you didn't start Matthew Stafford because he fucking went off. And then Jaquez Rogers, I was looking, he scores 2 touchdowns, but he had 8 receptions for 46 yards and 2 touchdowns, and then he had 8 attempts for 16 yards rushing. But he put up 2 touchdowns, which was huge for me. And that kind of washed out Harry Douglas. Harry Douglas was a nice pickup off of the bench. Super nice for you. I mean, when I saw him blowing up, I was like, I didn't see any touchdowns at one point. He already had like 25 points. And I was just, fuck is what I said. Vernon Davis, Demaryius Thomas, they didn't blow up like they did last week. If that would have happened, that would have helped you out quite a bit. But fantasy football, man. AP only got 7.6 points, his lowest production all year against the Giants. I mean, really. Anyways, that's bullshit. I thought it was going to be a lot higher scoring game, but the Vikings D is what helped me because we were close. I got 17 points from my defense. Vikings D bye week pickup, so that was kind of nice for me. So, anyways, that moves me to 6-1 and B to 3-4. Next game we're gonna do is gonna be Theo Rubin. Congrats on the win, beating Took, moving Took to 5-2. Uncle Rubes, that's at 4-3. I think last week you beat me. This week you beat Took. 2 top teams, man. Your team's peaking. That's nice. Russell Wilson's 28.7. Nice start for Thursday night game. And then Johnson for Tookie, he scored almost half of his points. If it wasn't for Johnson and Jackson, you could have been close to league low, Took. So Cutler sucks. He's out for 4 weeks. Maybe more, who knows. But, Gronk being back, Theo Rubes, that's nice for you. You waited on him for 7 weeks, and that fool finally makes it in the starting lineup, and he scores 22 points. Beautiful. What more could you ask for? And no touchdowns. That's the thing. I didn't see any touchdowns on there, but he's caught a ton of passes and a lot of yards. So that's nice for you. Like I said, moving you to 4-3, 2-win game streak, 2-game winning streak, and then Tookie at 5-2. Cutler's hurt. You have luck on the bench. We'll see what happens. Jimmy Graham's hurt. I don't know if he's going to start this week. And when you have 30 points out of your lineup and then you have a quarterback issue, that could line up a couple of losses for you in a row. I hope that doesn't happen, but your backup tight end, Cumberland, Tookie, 7.1 points. I don't see him doing really much, but hopefully he does for you. Next game we're going to move to is Lions Den. Lions Den played East Street Raiders and got the win. Close game. Like I talked about earlier, Theo Benja was a close game. And Brady didn't produce again, so he was primed to get a loss. But Calvin Johnson went crazy. That was a beautiful catch he had in the end zone as a highlight. And then Geno Smith is doing, 24.8. Brady has one 30-point game this season, and he's scored 15 points or less 3 times this season. And Jake Locker, who has missed 2 games, has 3 more points than Brady. I think Brady's like 25 on the quarterback list. Who would have thought? And he's winning. That's the thing. I think he only lost 2 games. He's 5-2, I think, and he's a quarterback that's top 25, probably 25 or 30, something like that. He was deep, which is just like it's hard for me to believe that Brady's winning, but he's not putting up serious numbers. Theo Ben, if you would have played RG3, you would have got the win. That's the shitty thing there. So. Sorry about that. Moves Lions Den to 4-3 with a 3-game win streak. Uncle Benj, 4-game lose streak with 1-6. And like I talked about earlier, you're 123.7 points more force than Rude. So all you need to do is get a win. If you tie them, which you have, 5 weeks to get it done in, might be as long as Rudy doesn't win, then you got a chance. But that's kind of makes it kind of exciting from someone that's not having to worry about paying $50. I'm excited to see who's going to pay the champ $50. Last game is going to be Nick, I don't like to be critiqued, Dreamweavers, who scores 97 points. I think 97 points was the third lowest score this week. Took was 89. Dirty Sanchez at 91.6. And then Dreamweavers at 97.7. Everyone else scored over 100 points this week. Denny was next. The score here was 97.7 to 126.9. Rubes get the win. Congrats on that. 5-2. And Nick is the opposite at 2-5. Looking here, Nick, your backs. I don't know what's going on with Ray Rice, man. I have him in another league, and he hasn't done shit all season. I think he's done. He doesn't explode around the corners. He doesn't explode through the hole. I wish I would have got rid of him in week 2 or 3 when his stock was higher, but who fucking knows? And Arian Foster for Rubes, that's a big hit because, he was putting up some points on your roster. I mean, you got him, I think, 11th or 12th. And he was putting up some nice, first round numbers, and I don't know, what his status is, when he's going to be coming back. Hamstring pull, that's not good for an elite back like him. And then D'Angelo Williams at 6.9. Donald Brown looked decent as a fill-in possibly, but I don't know, man. That's tough. But V-Jax is a story on your team. He's been lighting it up. He scored 35 points or more in 2 games back-to-back this season. Last week he was 35. This week 47. So nice production there. Congrats on the win. As far as standings, 6-1. I'm on top of the AFC, followed by Ruben at 5-2, Jinx at 4-3, and then Denny at 3-4. Nick and Rude are both 2-5 at the bottom of that division, and then E Street Raiders at the bottom of the NFC. Tooks at 5-2, number 1 seed there, followed by Lions Den and South Bay Longies at 4-3. So Lions Den's moving his way up there. Nice job. Mixing the playoffs back-to-back years possibly. Very nice. And then the games for this week, we have week 8 upon us. And we got me versus Dreamweavers. I'm really looking forward to that. That should be good. Looks like it's going to be a close game. I hope it's close. And then Legend versus South Bay Longies. Sheep versus Jimmy. Lions Den versus Suck My Dick. And then Took and East Street Raiders. East Street Raiders, you might get a win this week. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it upset of the week. East Street Raiders beating Took. Because Took's hobbling right now. I said it right here first. Right now. So good luck. No offense, Tookie. I just don't think we'll see what happens. I think East Street Raiders team's playing. He's been feeding them menudo Sunday mornings and keeping them in early Saturday night. I think the curfew I heard was 8 o'clock, so that's good. Your boys are shaping up over there. Rude's playing Ruben. That's gonna be a good game too. If Rude doesn't put up any points, Rude, you never know though, man. Anything can happen. So week 7 is done. We're over halfway done, gentlemen. Brings a tear to my eye, but I'm having it's been fun. Any questions or concerns? I like all the shit you guys are giving me about penalties. There will be penalties next year if you don't fucking vote. End of story. If you don't like what the options are on the page, then just go ahead and give your opinion. That's all I want is an opinion. And it's going to be, I'm going to say it right now, next year there will be a $25 fine for not voting or not expressing your opinion on league matters. Talking bullshit doesn't matter to me. Just league matters. If we're going to change points, if you guys want to change something to the roster, add another wide receiver, or we can just keep things the same too. I thought about adding a wide receiver slot, so having 3 wide receivers next year. That's kind of a cool thing to do because when you have wide receivers that go off, like no-name wide receivers on the bench, you have to start a wide receiver, so you're starting chumps that you've never heard of before. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But actually like this format, because the format that we have, I played other formats as we have here, and you guys know how it goes. But there will be a $25 fee next year for not voting or not expressing an opinion on a vote. So, and that's what we'll do. We'll just see. You can either put yes or no on the thread or the blog thread, and you don't have to explain it. We're all grown men. You don't have to explain shit. If you don't like the options to vote on, then just go ahead and express your opinion one way or another. And that might spark might shed light on something that people didn't think about. So, anyways, good luck in week 8. I know who is it that has a bye this week. I can't remember who has byes. There was a team that I was gonna look at that someone was gonna hit with, but anyways. All right, guys, have a good week. And any concerns or questions, throw them on the board as you always do. Peace.